Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Wednesday and happy Workflow Wednesday. I hope you guys have been having an amazing day, and I hope this month has been really good to you so far. And happy new month. For all of us who are watching from Knowledge, I hope you guys are having an amazing time. I have been enjoying seeing all the beautiful pictures and videos, and I'm a little bit jealous that I could not be there this year, unfortunately, but I will be there next year for sure. So, speaking of fun things, we're going to be talking about something really fun today. Can you guess what it is? You probably don't know, so I should probably say it, right? Okay, I'll say it. We are going to be talking about inline scripting in Flow Designer. So what is it? What is inline scripting if you've probably never heard it before? Inline scripting is what enables users to modify input values that require small format conversions, data transformations, or mathematical operations. So I'm going to include a project documentation below this video. As I'm talking, you should be able to see it. And in this project documentation, it goes really in depth to about what inline scripting is and about a few things we need to consider before using inline scripting. Like, for example, only using inline scripting for non-reusable logic. If it's reusable, do not write an inline script. Secondly, reviewing available transform functions. So before using inline scripting, check if there's any available transform functions in the system or not. Thirdly, create custom actions or subflows for reusable code rather than inline scripts. So we know that custom actions and subflows are for reusable complex data logic. So you may also want to consider doing that instead of utilizing inline scripts. So it's very important that we keep all of these in mind before considering an inline script. And we all know also that Flow Designer is a no-code to low-code functionality. Emphasis on no-code to low-code. So yeah, there might be some requirements where we need to write a little bit of script, like a little line of script, a small little script to fulfill the flow requirement. And that's where inline scripting comes in. Make sense? Now that I've said all of that, what are we going to be using inline scripting for today in Flow Designer? What are we doing? We are going to be updating a subflow. Remember the subflow we created to automate the creation of a change request with UI action? Yeah, that one. And here's a link to that video as well to watch the YouTube video for recollection. So we're going to be updating the subflow to whenever the change request is created, we're going to set the change planned date, which you're going to see in a second. We're going to set the planned date field to the current date on the change request record. So let's go into our instance and see what that would look like. Of course, I already have Flow Designer pulled up, but to get to it, you can search a process automation on your All menu and it should take you here. And here we see our change request that we created a few weeks back. As we see, our subflow has input parameters. And based on this input parameter, it's creating and updating the change request. So let's quickly test it to make sure that everything still works before we make any further changes. So we see our change request created from our subflow. And now for our requirement with inline scripting, it states that the moment the subflow is called, it should set the change request planned start date on this schedule section, it's just set it to the current date and time. And this is a date and time field. So that means that we need to definitely pass current date and time to this field. And how can we do that? Let's go back to our subflows and see how to. We see in our subflow, in our first action, it's an out-of-the-box action, and so it does not have parameters for a planned start date. However, our update change request record does. It allows us to update the change request so we can set our planned start date here. So, once that we set this field, we need to keep in mind that this is a dynamic field. So we can click this date to be able to set a particular date, or even dot walk to access dates coming from our input parameters. But again, our requirement is wanting us to set current date and time. And doing it without scripting will be very difficult. So to solve our problem, we use inline scripting. We see this cute little icon in the middle right here. We click on it. And we see on line 6, it says return short description. I'm sorry. This basically, what this comment is telling us is that the value from the script should be returned, and the value would then be set to this field when it's returned. So in our case is our planned start date field. So our value, whatever value we get from our script that we write, will be returned to this field so it can set the field value. So how do we get or set current date time? We have an API called GlideDateTime. And you can also learn more about that in my recent blog, which I will post in the link down below, where I talk about the differences between GlideDate and GlideDateTime. But the use of GlideDateTime essentially stores and helps us return current date and time values. So now let's write our script. And that's it, we're done. That's all we need to do. So now let's save it and test it and see if our planned start date was going to show up. And voila, here we go. Congratulations. Our planned start date is the current date and time, thanks to inline scripting. I hope that you understood this. Don't forget to check out the links on the product documentation on inline scripting, my blog on GlideDateTime versus GlideDate API, and the old YouTube video on subflows in order for you to properly replicate this functionality on your PDI successfully. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you next time. Bye.